Welcome back to Foiling Week 2020 and the Gurit Forum. This is exciting. We've had already 2 live shows this morning, and this one is really exciting for me because it has to do with race formats and hydrofoiling. And a lot of it has to do with broadcast, but also user experience. And so, again, we have Bruno Gentoli with us from Lago de Garda, my co-host Andrew Pindar, and our guest today are Julian DiBiase from SailGP. He's the CEO of SailGP, has done an awful lot of work with the America's Cup and project management. And then we have Giorgio Benussi and Dede De Luca from the Persico's 69F. Both of these boats, the F50s from SailGP and the 69F from the 69F series are kind of, they're not, the only foilers in the world, but they are professional and amateur series. And I think right now, any hydrofoiling series right now has an opportunity to try different things to see both for the user interface and also for the observer for broadcasting. So we're going to talk about what hydrofoiling opens up in terms of race formats and courses, different types of courses, and also to see what drives the decisions to have different courses and different formats. The course is one thing, and the format is how you use the course. Right now, I just want to start off with Andrew Pindar, who has an awful lot of experience from professional events that have been developed all over the world, not just short course racing, which GAC Pindar has been a team on a lot of different short course professional events, including foiling events. But Andrew, what excites you about hydrofoiling and events like the 69F series and SailGP right now, as far as different courses and different formats?
Well, I think it's really, for me, it's about the engagement of a wider audience, people who are excited about sailing and moving. We talked on earlier forums today about the move of the look out on the lake here. I'm not seeing anybody in a displacement boat, but everybody who's here is on a foil, and to then take that and step it up to find foiling circuits that are going to attract audiences. It's something that's been many people have tried to find an audience for the sport of sailing, and from my observation, what SailGP and what Giorgio has been doing with the 69F is creating something that causes people to go, oh, wow. So I think we've got a wow factor going on within sailing at the minute. And I'm just wanting to learn more and more about what Julian and what Giorgio are doing to bring that sport to a wider audience.
Cool. Well, let's get right to it. There's a couple things involved here. There are 2 different types of boats. One with the 69F is a monohull foiler, quite small actually, and then there's the F50 for SailGP. And what I want to start talking about right now is, as far as the courses and formats, it doesn't seem like they could be the same for both of those designs. But Julian, tell us how important the course and the racing format is for the SailGP project. I mean, what's your goal? Is the course and format designed specifically for the broadcast capabilities and be able to explain the sport and make it visible for on shore, or is it the other way around?
Well, I think the course is fundamental, to the show. But you just look at what happened the last 5 years or 10 years. I mean, so many things changed. Like Andrew just said, the boats have changed. It doesn't really matter whether they are monohull, multi-hull. The point is they go so much faster. It's a little bit like, reminds me when skis, went from traditional skis to carving skis. Like the sport completely changed. At the same time, the broadcast technology has evolved a lot. I mean, you watch any sport, whether it's football or sailing, even 10 years ago, and honestly, you watch the Olympics, 10 years ago, or even America's Cup, and you almost get seasick, and you watch anybody's video clip, today, anybody's video clip on social, and it's amazing quality. And then finally, the distribution has changed too. We used to tune into our TVs, and now we're watching videos all the time, at the bus stop, online. So distribution has become so easy, and and the landscape has changed so much in terms of distribution. So it's kind of like taking all these elements and also looking at how people use their day to day. You know, like people don't want to spend their whole day doing the same thing. You know, they want to do a little bit of sport in the morning. They want to look after their family. They want to go to a show and then still have some time maybe to have dinner with their friends. So I think in the last 10 years, there's many aspects of our lives that have changed on the water and on shore. And our goal at SailGP is to deliver a very short show that is impactful, that will leave the people with the appetite to come back for more. So it's all about short and impactful when it comes to a SailGP event.
And with the SailGP events, and I think it's probably a similar challenge with 69F, is your courses, maybe the formats stay the same, but your courses have to change a little bit based on the venue?
Well, we adapt to the venue, obviously, I guess, like any regatta, you know, like sailing always has to adapt to the depth, the wind direction, the wind speed. But what drives the race course design for us is our broadcast product. So we deliver 3 races within 90 minutes. And those races have to finish within 15, 16 minutes each. And so whatever that takes in terms of course layout, we'll try to achieve that. If it's windy, we can have a longer course. If it's lighter, we'll have a shorter course, but we have to finish within 15 minutes. So that's what we're trying to achieve each time.
What are the course design elements that you have to keep from venue to venue in terms of
the layout's pretty much the same. You know, we have a reaching start, which is nothing new now, but people always like that part of the race. We've actually been testing a bunch of stuff with virtual regatta this winter. Sorry, I should say during the downtime. Feels like winter, but during COVID, we played a bit with the number of marks, you know, the configuration of the course, but also the format, you know, how many boats on the start line. Is there an alternative to the traditional fleet racing versus match racing? And it's awesome to be able to test that with a game, actually, you know, and without having to engage all the resources needed on the water to try different stuff and find out whether it works or not. So we have some stuff in the bag for next year, and we're hoping to come with a few updates.
Cool. That's almost like simulating, right? The game is a simulator. Now, moving to the 69F. The 69F isn't necessarily a broadcast-driven racing format, correct? Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
We couldn't hear. You couldn't hear you.
Yep, really quickly. The 69F series isn't driven by broadcast. The race format is driven by broadcasting, kind of the same way SailGP is. So what kind of format is the 69F series playing with?
So first of all, let me say that speaking about the big picture, the 69F has been. Hello? Yep. Can you hear me? Yeah. The 69F has been designed in a very different mode comparing to others circuit and events, because we decided since the very beginning to have our own fleet to be shared together with the participants in the events. That means that we can easily adapt to different audiences, because we have regattas for very beginners, amateur series, for professional sailors, and for youngsters and kids, which means that we have totally different formats, and also the rules and regulations should adapt to the different audiences. In terms of race courses, of course, we have different ideas comparing to the SailGP. And we are pretty sure that we can adapt the race courses to the audiences, but also we can adapt the race courses to the weather conditions and the venues. But I prefer to leave the stage to Dede to speak about the race courses and what we think about the setting the race courses and the format itself of the events.
Thank you, Giorgio. It's we have been working on many different options. Our starting point is safety, because we know that I agree on what has been told before, that speed interesting and very exciting images are very important to be attractive, to attract the interest of the public, not only of the sailors. But on the other hand, we need to take care that we are having not only professional sailor on board, we are having also, let's say, beginner amateur driver. We are here, we have 2 owner driver racing that they have just a few days of training on their experience. So,
and of course, sorry to interrupt you, of course, we don't want to damage or destroy our own fleet at the first mark.
Yeah, so we are setting both some special rules and the courses to be adapted to the safety. That's why we are changing, for example, between light wind and strong wind. We are going into an upwind start when is the stronger conditions, because we feel it's a safer way. Also, it splits the fleet much easier than the reaching start. We are using the windward leeward only in very light conditions, because the risk of having boats coming downwind and upwind on the same line is too high. And most likely we prefer to use what we call the quadrilateral course, that is reaching start in light wind, downwind, reaching, and back to the starting line upwind. We totally share the idea of having short courses. Actually, we are having an average between 12 and 16 minutes races. The funny thing is that the sailors, also the professional ones, after a regatta of 12 minutes, if we ask them how long was it, they usually say more than half an hour, because it's so, it's so I don't know the right word, but adrenalinic, so intense, that they really don't realize that it's so short. But that is good, because we are looking to have a sport. So they need to be fit, they need to be, I don't know how to say, they need to have skill really at 360, because you need to be fit, but you need to be to take care of tactics, you need to be a good foiler, but we are also having maybe some leg where is the boat are displacing. So I think that to win on the 69F, you need to be really 360 sailor,
including being a seaman. Yeah. Yes. And you have to take care about the maneuvers, because we have a soft gender to be used or not to be used, depending on the legs and depending on your tactic course.
Yeah, so it is a different way, but you see that everyone is trying it, gets excited. And of course, we are at our year 0, so we are still experimenting many things. And we are using the expertise of many good sailors to try to have to deliver the best fun possible to our competitors.
Awesome.
And this, I think, will become attractive for the public, because if something is fun, will be also nice to see.
And it's nice to have that's what foiling gives us. There's a flexibility involved that makes these formats exciting. I know if I took a laser and tried to do some of these formats, depending on the breeze conditions, they wouldn't be as exciting, maybe in some ways, no offense to the laser. It's just a different format for a different type of craft with these different race courses. I have a question for both of you, and we'll start with Julian. This was a criticism of the America's Cup, particularly when it went into Bermuda, when you start to really restrict the race course, like the America's Cup World Series, where you have boundaries and the shaped race courses like we see in Sail GP, where you're kind of bouncing across a small body of water that might be very protected and puffy. And there's a criticism when you play with these different race courses from people, maybe even outside or even inside of foiling, that it's not good racing or not tactical racing. and there are things outside of traditional racing skills that affect the success of a team. Julian, what do you say to that when someone says, "Oh, these race courses aren't real racing or aren't tactical racing"? Oh, hold on, Julian, you're muted. There you go.
Yeah. Always interesting to discuss, you know, what is real sailing and what is not, because I look at it just like ski. You know, like ski, you have slalom, you have downhill, you can do heli ski in Azerbaijan, you can go country skiing with your friends, you can have a fondue with your family, you know, and it's a sport that has so many different facets, and I think sailing is the same. And I would say a race course like the America's Cup in Bermuda or SailGP is probably more like a slalom discipline than it is, you know, a downhill or let's say extreme type of discipline. So I would stay away, you know, from the discussion whether it's real sailing or not. I think we're so lucky that we have a sport that has a variety of ways to be practiced, you know, and enjoyed. And if you prefer offshore sailing and enjoy that, then there's plenty of competitions to follow. If you like quick and snappy races, there's formats like the ones we're discussing today. And the beauty of our sport too is that the best athletes are able to compete in all of them and win. And that's a particularity of our sport. You know, you don't really see that in many sports.
And how about for the 69F? Do you have people that you have to teach them new skills and approaches to different race courses, or does everyone kind of naturally figure out your formats when they come into the class?
We have, I fully agree on the fact that we should compare and say this is sailing, this is not sailing. Of course, this kind of race course, for example, wouldn't be exciting on a slow boat. You imagine to do with the soling a reaching start, it would be boring. And maybe something that the first will remain first for the whole reach. Here we have been discussing in the briefing this morning. We had one boat starting yesterday in the reaching start, trimming better the sail and passing in between the other 5, sailing 3 knots faster than anyone else, passing to leeward of 2 and to windward of 3 boats and going straight, winning the first leg. This can happen.
And we are speaking about a first leg of 1 minute and 40 seconds.
Yes, yes. Wow. Our first leg usually lasts 1
We're not speaking about minutes and minutes.
This can happen only on foiling, on fast and foiling boats. So the courses should be adapted to the kind of boat. I enjoy sailing soling. I'm sailing maxis. I like to sail 69F. I'm sure I would like to sail GP big time. There is, and many sailors that have been sailing with us, doesn't mean that they choose, that they prefer this versus the other. It's just different. And I again agree on the fact that a very good sailor will be winning on the soling and will be winning on the sail GP or on the 49er or on the 69F. I mean, it's anyway sailing. And the tactic, it is also not true that this kind of courses, there is no tactic. There is a tactic, but it's different. You need to make a lot of choices that are different choices. You are not taking care of the 2 degrees shift of the wind, of course, but you are taking care maybe of the path, or you are taking care of when to do the maneuver. It's just different. Anyone has been sailing, also the pros here, they've been saying, I didn't think about that, but this is a good lesson that I will take also on other boats. Right. For example, keep it simple, because here everything is happening so fast that if you don't keep it simple, you will be always late in your decisions. Right. But this is a lesson that you take on other boats and make you a better sailor. Luckily, we had, for example, Ruggero Tita sailing with us, winning an event, capsizing during the regatta and recovering from a capsize. So again, seaman style. And after going away from here, he went in Kiel and won with the NACRA
17.
The NACRA 17 event. And I'm not saying that is because he sailed the 69F, of course.
Yeah.
He says, any boat you jump on, you learn a lesson that you can take also to the other boats. It's not that foiling is another sport. It's just another aspect of the same sport.
And I think I like what you said about just someone being excited to do a new race course. I mean, we shouldn't discount that. Andrew, I just want to just chat with you a little bit and the group about, I think I see SailGP. I can see when you have that much of an audience on a cool race course, you want to throw some other foilers at it. What's your interest? You've been a sponsor of these events. What do you think about these formats?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting debate as to whether you need to have the purism of just the boat that people are coming to see, or whether it detracts or adds value by having other boats. But I mean, part of that thought process also for me is that it was 9 years ago today, a whole crowd of us were in Plymouth, where in fact SailGP is going next year. We were watching the America's Cup World Series down in Plymouth on this day 9 years ago. In September in 2013, we were watching the Red Bull Youth America's Cup in San Francisco. And then I look at the SailGP teams today, and perhaps the people who are wanting to go and have a sail on a 69F, that a lot of those sailors, Julian, you're looking at Pete Burling and Blair Tuke and people like that, are now sailing in both the America's Cup, and now they're all coming hot foot into SailGP. I'm interested in the progression, where there are people out here on 69Fs and on Moths and all the rest of it. How are we going to make sure that we've got a progression, an opportunity for in this next America's Cup? It's now been dropped for obvious reasons with coronavirus, but I'm really interested to see what the progression is here to find the new Pete Burlings and Blair Tukes.
I think you look at what the kids want, like many of us have learned how to sail on an Optimist, right? And then maybe even 10 years ago, sailing a Bic was a big thing for a kid, was more fun. Then perhaps even 5 years ago, 29er was fun, for a kid who was learning to sail at 10, 12-year-old. Now they all want to sail on a Wasp, that's what they ask for. They really want to foil, they find it fun. So I think that's a clear indication for the industry that, of course, all the boats are welcome, all the form of sailing, but what the kids want is go fast and have fun. And I think that's positive for all of us, because it indicates that the sport is going in the right direction, and there's interest from the new generation. We need to find a way to give them an opportunity. The athletes have changed a lot, and historically, I think sailing has been a very tight and small community where to get on a boat, if you know a mate, then you have an opportunity, but you might be a good sailor, but you don't know that many people, or there's not a lot of structures in your country and you struggle. I think some of the big events and events like Foiling Week can really help, young people be identified and supported. And that's our role, as program managers and sponsors.
Cool. And for the 69F, I mean, that's a boat and a series that promotes, amateur racing and hydrofoiling. And I guess just getting boats like that around the world and that fleet around the world gives exposure to people. But you said that there's a youth component too. Tell me a little bit about the youth component with the Racing 69F.
We are of course taking care a lot of the next generation of sailors, and that's why we created what we call the Revolution. That is a format where we can have 16 teams sailing on 4 boats, having a kind of scoreboard that are after some races eliminating and going to the final with just 4 teams. But this makes all this game accessible in terms of cost for anyone, because we know that foiling boats are sophisticated boats and therefore expensive. But we need with the concept of sharing and using the same fleet for many teams, we can make it affordable for anyone. So far on our fleet has been sailing almost 50 different crews in 3 months. Half of that was under 25 years old.
Right.
So we are very proud of that. And is a big reward for us to see all these young smiling faces coming back from a 30 knots ride on the 69F. And this is really, of course, we are working on all the three aspects. Let's say the professionals, the youngsters, and the amateur. But the real exciting goal is for the youngsters to create the foiling base for people then going into the top level like the GC or the SLGP. I mean, it's we feel ourselves as the starting point, same as the WASP, but on the crew base, the starting point for the foiling career, let's say.
And Julian, do you see a value in events and these not just the race course, but the formats to have two different fleets? You know, a youth component and an adult component, as far as value to broadcasting and other things you're working on.
Definitely. I mean, sailing is a competition that is quite expensive to stage, right? It's not swimming or running. You have the boat, you need the crane, you need the marinas. You know, there's a lot of infrastructure that goes into these events, boats on the water, power boats. So if we can find ways to join forces, you know, where two different series could use the same infrastructure and the same organizing committee, you know, to deliver a show to the fans, it would be beneficial for everybody.
Cool. We're gonna try to move this and wrap this up in a moment. I have a question for both Julian and Dede and Giorgio, and we'll start with Julian and move over to Dede and Giorgio. Is there a kind of a format for racing, like a shape, or actually a course and a format that you guys, like your dream race course and format for hydrofoilers that SailGP won't let you do, and 69F, someone in the room said, no, we're not doing that race course. But maybe in the future, you might have like a really wacky course. Julian, do you have something in your brain like that?
Yeah, we're trying some stuff at the moment, you know, but on the game. But I think the slalom course could be really cool, depending on the conditions and depending on the venue. If it's windy,
meaning like a kind of a zigzag back and forth.
Yeah. It's not a new course, right? I mean, there's many series that have done it in the past, even the windsurf back in the days, you know.
Yeah, and laser slalom too.
As well, you know.
Yeah.
So that could be something. But in terms of the format itself, you know, like I think if we found a way, if we had a magic wand, you know, with sailing, and we could, you know, fly the boats around or found a way to go faster from CTA to CTB, you know. Imagine if one day sailing was like football or Formula One or MotoGP, you know, like every Sunday you have a race in a different country, and that would be the dream scenario.
Cool.
Both for the participants and for the fans watching it. Those big sports, I mean, every weekend there's a race, there's a winner, there's a loser, and that momentum really drives the fans to follow it.
Awesome. And how about for the 69F, Dede and Giorgio? What haven't you tried yet that you'd like to try?
So first of all, we are happy to accept the invitation of Julian to join the SailGP format and the SailGP events. Thank you very much. But thinking about the race courses and the format, I'm pretty sure that Julian is on the right way. What we have to do is to have stadium races, for sure. The format of Revolution, as said before, Dede, is involving 12 teams per event per week, which means that we have 4 or 6 crews on board racing around the race courses. But in the meantime, we have 60 spectators waiting for their turn on board. And in addition to this, we can easily have a lot of spectators enjoying this format. But of course, we need to involve also the spectators with, I don't know, some bet system or some app to share with them the video and the imaging coming from the race courses.
Cool.
Yeah.
That'd be exciting to see.
About the courses, we need to deal between the spectacular aspect, but also because it would be for sure more spectacular having a lot of marks, a lot of roundings, a lot of situations. But then we need to not to kill the sailors and become crazy.
Right.
For sure, we have a long list of possible courses to test. But now we are sticking to just a few because we see they are successful, and we don't want to make the life of our sailors complicated because still they have to learn how to sail the boat. And so we are not pushing hard on the exaggerating in new things.
Cool.
I would say, but for sure there will be news in the future, and I don't know if it will be successful or not, but we are widely open to test anything because we need to give new things to especially for the young guys.
Yeah,
they like to change
and to explore.
Yeah. Awesome. And Andrew, I'll give you the final question, and then we'll wrap this up.
Yeah. Great talking about pathways and accessibility, and the kids are all wanting to go on a foiling kite or whatever it may be. But what about gender diversity? We've talked about young people here. Where are both programs, both SailGP and 69F? Are you getting interest from girl sailors, and are there going to be opportunities in the future for both circuits? Perhaps Julian could answer that first.
Yeah, I mean, obviously being a new event, like the first year we saw only males on the circuit, but we have a plan to introduce female sailors into SailGP. I'd like to keep that confidential for now and reveal the details later, but keep an eye out for that.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
So we have, if I may, one little question from the audience, and they were asking. I know the answer, but I will let Dede and Giorgio answering that. They're asking if there was already a venue there on the sea or only in lakes.
Speaking about the gender.
About the venue, we are going to sail in 2 weeks in so on the sea, and in November we will be sailing in Porto Cervo. So we are going also outside the lakes. We have been sailing with the prototype in La Spezia, also with big waves. Of course, foiling boats like flat water. No story about that. But still, we can sail with the waves. We will have more experience by November after we go to both Trieste and Porto Cervo.
Cool.
The season 0 season has been designed to go to Cagliari for the America's Cup event in April, and so we decided to start from sea. Then the plan was moving to Geneva in Geneva Lake, then moving here, and then having an event in Trieste for the Barcolana. That's the plan, and we are ready to do the same for the next year. So a mix between lakes and. But speaking about the gender, we don't need to introduce any kind of change because we have here a lot of teams with males and females on board, and of course because they come from the Youth America's Cup experience, and they are here to have training sessions before the Youth America's Cup team. But we also had a lot of senior sailors, female sailors, like Giulia Conti and Giovanna Micol, former Olympic sailors, and they enjoy the format, they enjoy the race on board, and it's not so hard, the 69F, for female crew members.
Cool. Well, we're going to have to wrap up there. That's fantastic. Andrew, thanks for bringing that question. We need to ask these questions more. And that's about it. I know, Julian, thank you so much. We know that everything's been kind of held up this year a little bit, but we can't wait. When's the next SailGP start?
It'll be in April.
Cool. And awesome. And when's the next 69F event? It's right now, right?
Yes. In 20 minutes.
10 minutes.
Okay, 10 minutes to the start. So we got to go. Bruno and Andrew, thank you so much. Julian, Giorgio, Dede from 69F and SailGP, thank you all so much. And we're going to be moving into Ian Percy next, Artemis Technologies and commercial applications from what we learned in the America's Cup. But for right now, I'm really glad you guys are doing what you're doing so we get to watch all the great racing.
Thank you, guys.
Great.
Take it easy. Bye.
Cheers. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.
Yep.